What's good? It's Brittany Sunshyne. Welcome to Flower and Fire, where we revelate, reflect, and remember to dig deep as we keep each other company along the way. And don't forget to believe in your daydreams. Let's dive in.
And we were like those who dream, and laughter came pouring out of our mouths, or our mouths were filled with laughter. So not only in this experience, I always pictured that on the other side of receiving what Neville Goddard would call the wish fulfilled, and what in the word we would just call promises, his promises fulfilled. And but what's funny about it is, as I'm awake right now before my children, drinking my coffee, having my alone time, and with toddlers, this is an epic moment, especially after everything that we've came through, moving a lot, having our home completely disrupted due to the choices of their father and his negligent ways. And therefore, we just rode a whole crazy roller coaster ride in life. So for me to be able to get up out of bed and have time while they're comfy, still asleep, and they stay asleep, it's a huge, beautiful gift. And I had written down that I had scripted this. I wake up before my boys and I have my time, and I have time for my morning drink just the way I like it, and it helps me start my day, blah, blah, blah. And at the time when I wrote that, the person that happened to read it, who happened to see it written, literally laughed, like, haha, like, you're gonna wake up before them? Because at that time in that season, they were waking up super early, and also anytime I woke up, they would wake up. And it was just kind of that, that mother-child connection that their little alarm bells would go off because I was up. And so anyway, it was literally laughable at that time. And it was literally a dream at that time. It was kind of like, haha, in your dreams, like that. So what's wonderful about that passage just lights my fire. It just continues. I don't even crack open the word at these points of my life right now. Not to say I never will again, but seasons happen, And also I am following the spirit. Sometimes there's discovery, and this sounds so sacrilegious, but yeah, the spirit is bigger than a book, while still the pipeline has definitely been set using that book, and I'm grateful for it. And it was the attunement that pulled me out of culture and attuned me to the path of righteousness. And that word is so triggering for some of us who have been through religion, because it's like it's just overused in a place where there's probably little reflection of that in the actual people there, because they're not being taught the applied skills of how to actually apply the finished work. But I digress. So, but it's a wonderful thing. We want that. We want to know. We want to know what's morally true. We want to know what's morally pure. We want to know what is righteousness. Like we want that. So let's take a moment and invite that in. We invite the spirit of truth, the spirit of the essence of the good shepherd, of the creator, to attune our being to the sound of the song of goodness, of purity, of righteousness. And we want the spirit of truth to define for us all of those words. What is good? What is pure? What is righteous? What is true? What is noble? Because we cannot depend on religion or man or any one book, especially that's been translated by man. We cannot depend on any of those things to fully define those words and those concepts. We have to depend on the Spirit of truth itself to sustain us, to teach us, to attune us. We must choose to walk through that fire, the refining fire. You either get burnt on the front side by choosing to walk through the fire and allow it to purify you in a productive way, or the pollution will just stack up, build up, acquire, and then the fire is out of control and it will often consume you, and then you're a lot worse off. It's kind of like working out. You can either choose to work out, choose fitness, choose to stay fit and physically engaged with your body, or you can allow your body, and that's hard, and there's a pain that's associated with it, but if you get into it, you learn to love that pain, and you love the results even when you're sore on the other side. And also that initial, just pro tip for people that are just getting started, you will not always feel that sore as you do like the first time back in it. It is so painful when you very first start, and then it tapers off. It's not always that type of pain, but you just keep going. But the alternative to pursuing health and wellness and muscle growth and strength is weakness. And the weakness means that you're going to be less able to be in control of your body. You're going to be less able to catch yourself if you trip. You're going to be heavier and less fit. All of your organs are going to be less fit. There's so much value to working out with a little bit of intermittent fasting, intermittent fasting, and healthy nutrition. It allows your body to circulate the cells in a proper rate. It allows your muscles to tear. And the irony in it is that the tearing of the muscles actually acts as a natural anti-inflammatory. So all the inflammation that's locked in your body, as you rip your muscles, it allows that inflammation to process through. It requires that your muscles rebuild. It requires that the cells, the ones that it's time for them to go, they go. And it's this natural burning down so that it can be rebuilt. And it's such a normal part of life, this burning down for the rebuilding. I live in Oregon, and we, as the West Coast and many places have wildfires throughout the summers, and it's devastating. Because we all love trees. We're obsessed. We love trees. We do not like seeing them burn. Also, the houses and our farms and our land, what am I trying to say? Like our animals, our livestock, that's what I'm trying to say. Those, it's like, that is very stressful and sad, and just, it's devastating. And yet, same thing, if we don't let the fires do what they're meant to do, then the brush just continues to build up in the forests, and it's not natural for it to not happen. Sometimes, of course, it's helped along by negligent people that set fires where they shouldn't, when they shouldn't, those kinds of things. And like, not every wildfire is meant to happen, don't get me wrong. We definitely perpetuate it with our own ignorance and irresponsibility and selfishness. So I'm not saying every fire is meant to happen, but fire is a part of the process of the land keeping itself. It nourishes the soil. It does some things. So while it's so hard for us to watch, it's an important part of the cycle. And the same with us. It's an important part of the cycle to identify what in our life is not of righteousness. And do not get in the legal box, because, by the way, I don't think marriage in the Christian format is even I think a lot of the time it has lost its revelation. How many people do you know are in a marriage that actually maintains the revelation of the point of why they're together? How many people are just stuck in a marriage that they hate with a spouse they're not into, and they're just told that this is, what you're supposed to do because it's long suffering, while their children grow up in a household that has no love, and they're never shown what love is aside from just long suffering. Like, there's more elements to love than just long suffering. Yes, that is a part of it, and it is important that you don't just live your whole life based on whims or whatever, and like how you feel at any given moment. And commitment is important, and long suffering is a part of it, but there also should be love. And once you're not carrying love, are you really doing your children and whomever are you really doing them any favors? Is this really, anyway, I just pray that the spirit of wisdom would guide you as I speak, because these are the kinds of things that in the past I would hold back from saying because I would be so afraid that somebody would be like, oh, there's my ticket. I've been waiting for somebody to give me a way out of my marriage, and there's be the example of just one where they just are selfish and they just, are looking for some self-serving reason to get out of something. That is not what I'm talking about here. And we should absolutely we should have a wise and healthy balance in terms of the awareness that we are in our vessel and only we can fulfill the purpose that we have been given on this planet. And that we should, just like the parable of the talents, we should maximize our gifts and talents and time and the purpose that we were sent here to perform, or, not perform, it's not performance, but, play out, live out. So there should be a healthy balance between the understanding that and also realizing that part of that is to be in healthy interdependence and service to others, in pure love. I think a lot of things come back to motive. I think everything comes back to motive and inner. And you know what's crazy is sometimes we think we're having a good motive. We think our motive is good because we've just learned how to do life from a toxic narrative. We've learned how to do life from an example that just showed us wrong. So we're like, this is how you do it. I'm first in line to say that. I seek forgiveness, and I seek not, I'm already forgiven by the Creator. I'm talking about I seek forgiveness by people whom I interacted with them wrong due to a flawed thought process and life goal / rules / terms of engagement. When you're taught the wrong terms of engagement about how you deal with people, how you deal with situations, how you do life, it's embarrassing later. So anyway, hold on. So we want the knowledge of righteousness. We want the knowledge of wisdom. We choose to receive the knowledge of how to actually apply the finished work, and we do not stop at the systems of man who tell us which way is up or down. I watch I enjoy true crime because I enjoy justice. It's a weird way that I get to witness justice while also having my mind blown at the extent and the reality of the corruption of some people. And it's very important to know that. I didn't know people like my ex-husband existed. I did not understand the level of chameleon, fake that people could be. I didn't understand that, and that is how I was deceived. So it is important to realize and to learn and to be aware of the level of deception that's out there, while also finding ways to not allow it to consume you or to cause you to become embittered toward others. It's a balance. But the point of this whole thing of why we don't depend on only one school of thought and only one club vote is because I look at this. There's a family who had their daughter's ex-husband, taken out so that she would not have to share the custody of the kids. Okay. And so what's wild about witnessing this family and watching them talk to each other and watching them interact is that they are so consumed in just their own story and their own self-importance that they are out here willing to do the worst, one of the worst things you can do to another person, which is, cut their life early, because they just think that they are more important than that person and that they should be able to do that. That's one of those things I'm like, I do not want that. I do not want that on my shoulders ever. That's a level of responsibility that I do not want to have over anybody's life. Like, that is not my decision to make. If God wants them gone, he will smite them, like God can do anything. The Creator can take people out in any way he wants. I do not want any part of that, not only because I actually have this very healthy moral compass. I don't think I could live with myself. How would I would replay what happened. I would sob myself to sleep. It doesn't even matter if I liked the person or not. I am not there in my own mind about being able to make that decision on behalf of somebody else. It just is something that does not compute. And I think it doesn't compute to all of us who are morally sound. But those who are not morally sound, these people, they grew up in their own little bubble where it was an echo chamber for their own flawed morality. And that was the only voice that they would listen to. And therefore, and since they just ignored everybody else with their arrogance and pride, that's why humility is so important, including for religious people. You're missing it. You're missing so much by being in the echo chamber of religion and refusing to allow yourself to experience the spirit of life outside of the echo chamber of the club inside a building. There's more. There's more to it. You think that the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, who is the wild ride of every person in the Word, you think that Spirit can be contained by one cultural understanding of that Spirit? You really think that one little club's got it all sorted out? You think they really know all the answers? You think that they're really living out the fullness? Because if they don't have the fullness of exceedingly, abundantly, far above anything you can ask, think, dream, or imagine, if they're not living that out, then that means there is more. And what do you choose? Do you choose the systems of man in order to stay familiar and welcome in the club that is known? Or are you going to go on the wild ride with the Spirit and actually step into the fullness of life? And only he can lead you into what that is and what it looks like for you. And I always advocate and say that it's going to be a little bit different for every single person, because he knows your pride issues. He knows your dependency issues. He knows your hangups, and he's going to have you trade those in for something different. And it's going to look different for everybody. What's a big deal to one person might not be a big deal to another person. And he'll have you lay at the altar the thing that's your thing, and it will be different for everybody. And that's the currency to initiate the up level and the life change for yourself as you lay it at the altar. And that's, those are church words for means just surrender. Those are that's religious words for just saying, I'm choosing to surrender this thing that I depend on for my perceived survival, or my perceived get off, gets me off, my perceived escapism. I'm surrendering that for even a season. And it's an exchange, and the exchange always comes with something better, when it just always does. It's hard at first, it's scary to think of losing it, and then you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? Every time. Every single time. And there have been times where I've laid things at the altar that I thought were like bad, and I'd lay it down, especially out of like a religious, like if I was programmed by the religion of like what was bad. So I'd like follow what I thought they thought was bad. And then I would just, Spirit would be like, it's not about that. It's not about that. No, not about that. So yeah, the dogma will gate you in. Like gate you in not a good way. Not in the Psalm 126, like in his amazing captivity, good kind of way. The dogma can gate you in from actually experiencing the fullness of the Spirit. But anyway, and we were like those who dream, and laughter filled our mouths. Laughter poured out of our mouths. So start with the dream that's literally like, in your dreams right now, that it's laughable. Something that seems so impossible or so far out or so hard to reach that it's literally laughable. And then watch. And then watch. Watch as the laughable dream that is now laughable because it's such a out of reach dream perceivably. And then watch as you maintain vision on it, and you can surrender it too, by the way. I haven't been obsessing every day like, okay, I still have to wake up before my kids. Oh my gosh, I hope it happens. There's been no stress about it. It's just one of the things that I scripted. I read it a few times, forgot about it, moved on with my life. And then as the days, it takes some time for that dream to become from a place of concept and fluidity to then hardening into reality. But as you write it down, and you write it down that you are so grateful now that, and you write it in current present tense, it's literally writing the vision and making it plain, and it is writing it into the creation program that is your life. And I surrendered it. I haven't worried about it. I'm not losing sleep. I didn't stress out. I haven't been like annoyed every day that I don't wake up. I'm just, when it does happen, then it's like, oh, look at that. Here it is. And then it's just this enjoyable miracle. And every time something that you wrote down comes true, it's very helpful to write it down in a journal, like proof of becoming, like a proof that it's happening, I am noticing that this happened kind of thing. And it's important to write down every time you see life working out for you, and just choose to adopt the concept that life is always working out for you. Life is always working out for you. Choose to adopt the concept that life is always working out for you, and write down every tiny little symptom, hint, and moment of proof that's showing and revealing that life is indeed always working out for you. Because it will start to make the things, when they appear to be against you, those mountains become smaller. And you will say to this mountain, move. It's that your faith and the spiritual person inside of you, the confident, faith-filled, trust-filled, able to surrender being inside of you you just become so much bigger than the mountain that it's like, oh, move. It's not, the mountain becomes possible. And it's all about the perspective and about the inner work. and about the self-mastery. And it is wonderful. Remember to take the dreams that are laughable now, write them down. I am so grateful now that. Write it down as if it has already happened, and or if it is as if it is happening now, already happening. Read it for a few days and then surrender it in trust, knowing that it will come in perfect timing. And then laugh on the day that you witness it harden into reality in your life. And remember to believe in your daydreams. Be blessed, be well, be free.